It is. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to everybody. My name is Jason Weiss, and I am thankful to be here today again for the Ask Jason Weiss show. Although I am an attorney, I am not giving any legal advice today. This is more on the coaching and consulting side, and nothing I say or do creates any type of attorney privilege or attorney legal advice or attorney relationship. So as I've been doing for the past handful of months, I have a guest with me today, and I am so excited to introduce the smiley, wonderful Dr. Joe Bogart, who is a chiropractic physician at Parkland Health and Wellness, Parkside Health and Wellness. Geez, I can't even say it today. Parkside Health and Wellness Center.
That
HNWC.com 954-340-7545. And like when athletes have products and commercials that they can do, and they're saying that this is the best and this is whatever. Part of the requirement is that they actually use the product, or they tasted the product, or they've encountered the product. So I can tell you from personal experience, Dr. Bogart is phenomenal. Not only am I a patient of his, but he's been the doctor for my minor children for many, many years, as well as my wife. So if I am going to allow anybody to work on and help my family, that means that there's going to be 100% complete trust. And that is this man. It is amazing. I go in, I get adjusted. Not only do I leave feeling good on my body, but on my mind, on my soul. He's also somebody confident, somebody that I can talk to. It's amazing. So without further ado, and without his head exploding, this is Dr. Bogart. And I just want you to give a quick 30-second supplement to that, and then we're going to dive right in, because I'm sure I got tons of questions.
I really don't know what else to say after such a fabulous introduction such as that. Everything Jason said is correct in that I've been gifted to take care of him and his family. I've been practicing for 22 years, and over that period of time, I've helped thousands of people with many, many ailments and complaints. And part of what I do is what you were saying is we're not just dealing with the physical body, we also deal with the energetic and the emotional aspect of the body and how that attributes to physical related issues. So that's why a lot of people not only feel better physically, but they also mentally feel better, which helps them physically feel better. And so it's a never ending cycle.
So I will say this, that, there is a lot of attorneys out there who do personal injury work. And when you get into a car accident and you find that attorney that you want based on the billboard or the white pages or the Facebook ad, a lot of times what they will do is they will send you to their own preferred chiropractor. I'm not going to get involved with the legality and what's allowed under the bar rules and the medical rules. But it's funny because I don't do a ton of PI cases. But when I do get a personal injury case, I always tell the client, you are free to pick your own chiropractor. You're free to pick your own doctor. But I strongly would recommend somebody like Dr. Bogart, because he's going to care more about your well-being and how you heal than at the end of the day, can he do things so that you get more money? And I think that's very important. Because a lot of people, they'll get into a car accident, they'll call me, hey, I was just in a car accident, I feel fine, I'm not going to the emergency room, I'm not getting checked out. And my spiel to them is, okay, but tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up sore as heck, you're not going to feel good, something is going to be off. Call a chiropractor, call a doctor, go to the emergency room, get treated right away. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they'll make an appointment and they'll listen to me and they'll call your office, or they'll call their own chiropractor, or they'll call whatever. So is there usually a time period from after you have a trauma or a car accident that it takes for your body to actually register and that they should go see a medical professional?
Yes. So in answer to your question, it's a really good question. And what I tell people is this: after any type of a trauma, whether it be a slip, fall off a ladder, a car accident, you should have someone who knows what they're doing examine and determine if there has been some type of an injury, whether it be a soft tissue injury, a whiplash injury, which is soft tissue, if there's an alignment issue, if there's a bony related issue, if there's something torn or broken or hurt. And complementary to what you just said, many people after a trauma, whether it be a fall or a car accident or something of that nature, don't often feel symptoms right away. In fact, some people don't notice any symptoms until weeks, even months after the injury. And sometimes they're able to attribute it to it, and sometimes they're not. And what I mean by that is there's been many times that I've had someone come in and I'll look at them, I'm like, man, you got some kind of a whiplash injury. Anything happen to you? No, no, no. Well, like 6 months ago, I was in a car accident. You're like, well, there you go. And this is the residual. And they're like, well, but I felt fine for a month or two after. Well, now you're not. And now you're actually feeling the repercussions of that. In fact, previously, years back, the law stated that people who were injured in some type of a car accident were able to get treated for up to 2 or 3 years after the date of injury. They've now changed it to a 14-day window where if you are not examined or treated by a medical practitioner for those injuries within 14 days of the accident, you no longer are covered for your injury. They did that specifically because they know a lot of people don't feel symptoms or severe enough of a symptom to where they feel they need to get checked. Like, I'm a little stiff, I'm a little achy, it'll go away. 3 weeks later, it's not going away, it's getting much worse. Finally, they go to someone and go, you waited past the 14-day window, you're no longer covered. So along with what you said, I just tell people, get checked. You get checked, and hopefully the doctor will be honest, like myself, and say, like, you know what, you really weren't injured, you're fine, go about your day, you're great. Or, this happened to you, you should treat, or you should get this, or you should have an x-ray, or you should have an MRI, or you should see a different practitioner, or depending on what the situation is. It's good to have someone document that within the 14 days, and that's in Florida. And if it goes anywhere else, I would still recommend doing it, in any other state in the same period of time. I don't know what the laws and rules are in those states, but I know in Florida, you have 14 days. Whether you go to an emergency room, an urgent care, a chiropractor, physical therapist, or a medical doctor, your primary, go and document. It needs to be documented properly. It needs to be submitted to your insurance company properly. And if it's not, you will lose and have a lapse in the coverage for that personal injury. So that's a really important thing.
Right, because most of the time when you have PIP, that's personal injury protection, as part of your policy, you get $10,000 in coverage, most policies, so that if you go see a doctor like Dr. Bogart, it would probably cost you nothing out of pocket, and it should not have an increase on your rates. I'm not saying if you make the claim because your car is hurt, that won't increase your rates, but the mere fact that you're going to get medical treatment due to the accident, that in and of itself will not increase your rates. And you have most policies that $10,000 coverage, and most chiropractors or doctors will take whatever coverage that you have. So
yeah, and then unless there's a deductible, if there's a co-insurance or percentage, et cetera, and that could be discussed and worked out with the patient as far as that goes, as far as payments go for that. But the reality is that they have a certain amount allowed for personal injury. Now, that coverage doesn't just necessarily go to a chiropractor. That can go to an emergency room. That can go for an MRI. That can go for, physical therapy. That can go to an orthopedist if they need orthopedic care, if they need injections, if they need surgical intervention, God forbid. And if they do, then some of that can be applied towards a surgical intervention. Most patients that come to see me don't necessarily need surgery right away, because if those people are that bad, they're usually going to a hospital immediately after. And as many of us know, hospitals have a tendency to bill exceptionally on the higher level, $500 for a Tylenol, or, they charge them $1,000 for an x-ray that should cost $100 or whatever it is. And so a lot of their care can be used up for those things, and not to say that's unnecessary, but I'm saying, but it can be. And so that $10,000 can go quickly depending on what that person has done. But like you were saying, and I recommend, get checked. Just get something documented, because if you have something documented within those 14 days, and let's say you're like, I'm not going to treat, and a month later, it's really starting to get bad. You're like, man, my headaches are getting bad. My neck pain's getting bad. I'm getting numbness and tingling in my fingers. I'm dropping things. I'm not able to do that. You now need the care, and you at least have a foot in the door to say, hey, I was examined. I was determined that I was injured, and it is determined that it's related to this accident, in which case I'm entitled to get, that care covered by your insurance, because that's what it's for.
So putting aside the 14-day limitation from the state or the law or whatever it is,
right.
If someone gets into a car accident, when would you recommend, and let's say it's a car accident that they could walk away from, they could drive away from, they're not transported to the hospital. What do you think is that sweet spot of time for the injured person to go get seen?
Usually within the first week. I would say, it doesn't necessarily need to be the day of. And the reason I say not the day of, although the sooner you can do it, the better, because as soon as you can start taking care of a patient, their symptoms may be mitigated, their problems may not become later down the road as bad as they are. But oftentimes someone who comes immediately may not even feel anything. It was earlier today, I'm just a little bit tight. But the next day they wake up like, oh my God, my neck is killing me. The next day they wake up, oh my God, I'm getting excruciating headaches. The next day, now my fingers are numb. And, initially they'll come in and say, yeah, I'm really not bad. And so, an insurance company looking and go, well, they said they're not bad. But then the next day or the day after is when they may start experiencing, just like if you go to the gym, you go to the gym, you have an amazing workout. That day, you're not necessarily sore, but the next day or the day after, whoa, you're having a hard time walking because you did a lot of squatting. Those soft tissue, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons can have a similar effect. And so people will oftentimes feel a lag in symptoms immediately after. And I see this with people who fall off ladders. I see this with people who fall in a supermarket. I see this with people who fall or get injured in a car accident. It's very common for the body to not immediately have a symptom. Now, oftentimes there are. I'm not saying that there aren't. But oftentimes, it could take a few days. I've seen it where people feel great for a week or two. And all of a sudden, man, my head is killing me. Do you think it's from your car accident? Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, you know what? I never had them before this. It might be related. And my neck is a little stiff. I'm having a hard time sleeping, but it's not bad. And then as time goes on, it tends to get progressively worse.
Right.
So that's very common.
I usually advise my clients that, call me. Usually it's from the side of the road. Hey, I was just in a car accident. What do I do? And I tell them, go see, are you okay? How's everything? Can you drive? Can you walk? Can you do whatever? And usually thankfully it's, yeah, I can drive away. It's just, whatever. And I say to them, okay, wait a day or two, go get checked out from a chiropractor, from a doctor, from whatever. But don't wait more than a week. And that's usually the time period I give them. And then they're like, well, what should I do? Listen to your doctor. But what should I do for my case? Listen to your doctor. Yeah. But I want to get as much money as I can for my case. I understand. But listen to your doctor. Listen to what he or she tells you to do to get better. And that's the number one priority. And I preach that. Now, one of the things that you mentioned, you said about working out, going to the gym. How does that play into the adjustment of the body that you do, either as a routine, once a week getting checked out, or like, if somebody's at the gym working out, do you recommend they get chiropractic treatment?
So we're moving away from
take away the car accident part. Healthy 20, 30, 40-year-old person works out. I'm in great shape. I run. I do this. I don't need chiropractic. True or false?
True and false. And here's why. No one has to do anything, and no one really should do anything when it comes to certain things with their health. You don't have to eat well. You don't.
Death and taxes.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
No, but you don't have to eat well. You don't have to exercise. You don't have to go to the chiropractor. But people who are interested in taking care of their bodies should do those things. I kind of equate it to like brushing your teeth or doing another healthy habit, because the reality is this: there are three things that cause bodies to dysfunction. And
number one.
Oh, I was like, I think you're like, wait, okay.
No, number one.
Like number one, there are three types of stress. And everyone, when they think of stress, they immediately think of emotional stress. That's the most common. Oh, yeah, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. My job, my kid, my this. I've got a mortgage payment. I just got laid off. My husband wants a divorce, or whatever. That's an emotional stress. And when that happens, muscles tend to get tight. They can pull bones out of alignment. We get into defensive postures. Our body, our physiology can change. I'm really depressed. My posture is getting slumped because I'm not feeling good. That can pull bones out of alignment. That's a very commonly recognized type of stress. One that's not commonly recognized is chemical stress. So people who are under chemical stress could be dehydration, poor nutrition, too much sugar, artificial sweeteners, things like that. And when that happens, then when you don't have a good diet and you're exposed to drugs, whether they be pharmaceutical, recreational, over the counter, they have a physiological effect on your body, some positive, some negative. And when that happens in a negative effect, it can affect skeletal alignment, muscle tissue. I mean, I've seen people, just to name, an example, people who are on cholesterol statin medications. That can affect tendons, that can affect muscles. So they're getting musculoskeletal aches and pains. That's a chemical stress on their body. If your muscles aren't functioning well because you're on a medication, can that cause or allow for alignment issues where a chiropractor can help? Absolutely. So that's a chemical stress that people are often under and don't think about on a regular basis, because usually you think of stress, you think emotional stress. But the third, and here's the thing, everybody is under all three, and I'm going to mention the third one, all three forms of stress, some more in one direction than another. And the last stress is physical stress. So people are under physical stress on a regular basis, like, oh, I'm not under physical stress, I'm lazy. Then you sit all day. No, but you sit all day long. Sitting is the new smoking. In fact, when people sit for hours at end, it actually compresses the discs of the lumbar spine. It causes people to typically slouch or round their shoulders. That's a physical stress, which can pull bones out of limb. Well, all I do is just work at a computer. How could I be physically stressed? You actually are by just sitting there. I work out 6 days a week for 2 hours at a time. That's a physical stress on your body. I sleep like this. That's a physical stress on your body. I get in and out of cars a lot because I'm a truck driver. That's a physical stress. So physical stresses are what I guess you can equate mostly to where a chiropractor would be needed. I play golf 3 times a week. That's a twisting in one direction. That's a physical stress to the body. I play tennis, and I'm right-handed. That's a physical stress to the body. So that's where all people would benefit from having their spine checked and, if need be, adjusted or realigned and retrained and reprogrammed to be straighter, function better, et cetera, because on a daily basis, people go through physical, chemical, and emotional stress, just like they would by eating foods. Like, well, I went to the dentist. Why do I have to go back? Because you continue to eat food. Why do I have to wash my car? I just had a whole waxing. They did 2 coats of wax. Because you drive your car. Your body's the same way. And sadly, when you talk about things like a vehicle or a car that people spend, umpteen dollars on per month, or for a lease that they're going to turn in, but their body's like, I don't really want to spend money. I don't want to put time into it. I don't want to eat well. I don't want to spend the money on organic food. I don't want to spend time going to the gym. I don't want to go to a chiropractor. You're going to have this body for the next 4 or 5 decades, depending on your age. You're not going to have that car for more than 3 or 4 years. And you take better care of that.
Or I spend $400, $500, $600, $700, $1,000 a tire on 4 tires, but I'm going to skimp on getting it balanced and aligned, and then you're going to skimp on rotating them. Right. So it's the same thing. So just to kind of go negative to what you just said. So if I go so I got adjusted yesterday, right? So by the time I've been sitting in this chair all day today, and I got into 2 different cars yesterday, so I'm already probably out of alignment. So what's the frequency that you would recommend for maintenance?
It depends on the person and their lifestyle. People who are young, who are busy, who are stressed, who are doing a lot and have a lot of things going on, oftentimes once a week is good, maybe every 2 weeks. People who are retired, have nothing going on, they're not doing anything in their lives, maybe every 2 to 4 weeks for a tune-up. The reality is that when you get adjusted by someone like myself or another chiropractor, someone who does techniques where we're not just popping bones in place, we're actually retraining the joints, the feet, ankles, knees, hips, pelvis, shoulder girdle, cranium, to stay in a better alignment. When we do that, the likelihood and the frequency of bones and bodies coming out of alignment significantly decreases, and we're actually teaching your body how to almost correct itself. Meaning, I have a lot of patients tell me, since I've been coming here, I noticed this pops when I get out of bed now. Yeah, that's you fixing yourself. That's great. I'm teaching it how to do that so that when you get out of bed and you sleep like this and you get up, well, that's you fixing yourself back to normal. That's great. That's actually not a bad thing, which is why I don't think it's necessary to go to a chiropractor every day or every 2 days, unless you're dealing with an injury or you're trying to make a correction or something. But on a maintenance level, usually once a week is usually sufficient. But again, it's patient specific. It depends on their particular. Now, you got someone who's a constructor who's doing jackhammering, 15 hours a day. He may need it more than that for maintenance. He may need 2 or 3 times a week, for maintenance.
So speaking about maintenance, we got to go to a commercial. because
All right.
I'm having way too much fun and listening and learning about a ton of this stuff, and it's all great. So we're going to go to a commercial and be right back, and we're going to talk about more teaching and other things, and maybe one or two side gigs that Dr. Bogart has, or we'll keep talking about chiropractic. We'll see.
Whatever you want.
We'll keep you on your toes. Come back and listen to more.
All right, I'll wait here.
All right, you wait there. And we're back. Thank you for those wonderful commercials to our wonderful sponsors. And I have with me Dr. Joseph Bogart, who is at Parkland Health and Wellness Center, www.phandwc.com. And he can be reached at 954-340-7545. So one of the outside interests that Dr. Bogart has, and I'm not going to let him get too much into it because I thought about it. One of the things that he loves to do is he is an advocate for safety. And one of the things that I have been fortunate enough to take is a gun safety class. And originally, what I was thinking I was going to do is have him talk a little bit about on the second half of the show about the gun safety. But I have so many questions about the chiropractic side that what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to have him back in a couple of weeks so that he can talk about gun safety and programs and, people that have fear of guns like myself. I no longer have a fear of a gun. I now know how to properly handle one. And if God forbid, I was in a situation where I needed to use one, I know how, and my family members are also trained, and it was something that was really important. And it goes towards education and bettering yourself and learning about yourself. So we're going to come back in probably, 4 weeks or so, and we're going to have Dr. Bogart back, and he's going to wear a different hat. You don't need to really wear a hat. And he's going to be telling us a little bit about gun safety and the do's and don'ts. So that's a little bit of a surprise for him because he thought I was going to talk about that in the second half of the show. And I'm just really enjoying the chiropractic side so much. So we were talking about the going in, getting your body aligned, getting your mind aligned, and all of that. What are some of the outcomes that you have seen for people? No specific patients, no names, no nothing, but someone's come in with I know somebody who saw a chiropractor due to night terrors for a child. And I actually recommended that this person go see you. What are some of the things that sometimes you could avoid going in and getting major surgery and getting all of that done that maybe it's worth the trip to a chiropractor? Is there anything that maybe before you have your tonsils removed, or maybe before you have your adenoids removed, is it worth it to take a trip to the chiropractor?
Okay, so it's a very good question. And of course, it's case specific, it's condition specific. I can't say chiropractors keep you out of surgery if you need your gallbladder removed. If you need your gallbladder removed, you need your gallbladder removed. If you need your colon resected, you need your colon resected. I could adjust you 15 times a day, and you're probably going to need that, depending again on what the condition is. Now, I've been practicing 22 years. I'll call them earlier. They weren't one of my first patients. But one of my earlier patients has been a patient of mine for well over 15 years, was scheduled for lower back surgery for disc herniation. The wife, who was a patient of mine, said, I want my husband to come and see you. He's refusing. He just wants to go get surgery. But, should I bring him in here? I was like, bring him in. Let's take a chance. If it doesn't help, he can always go get the surgery. But if he gets the surgery, we won't know if I was able to help. And nothing I'm going to do is going to make him worse, because I'm very gentle and very specific in the way that we retrain and realign backs with disc issues. Well, it's been 15 plus years now, and he has not had a back surgery. He canceled his surgery, which he was scheduled for, because we got him out of pain. He's able to, he has a very physically laborious job where he's in awkward positions on a regular basis for his job. And I want to tell you what he does, but
nope.
And since then, he comes in every 2 weeks. Okay, now he probably should come a little bit more. He comes in every 2 weeks now. At the time, he came multiple times a week to retrain the tissue and get things to heal and let those discs, heal up so that they weren't putting pressure on those nerves where he was having major back pain and sciatic-related issues. And now he is doing great. Occasionally, yes, he does get occasional back pain, but not to the point where, I got to consider surgical intervention. And he'll even tell you kept me out of surgery, doc. Thank you so much. And, he and his family are so grateful for that, and they're still patients today because of it. So things like that, or even with children who have, ear infections, oftentimes getting adjusted, making sure that the upper neck is properly aligned will allow things to drain those eustachian tubes so that kids won't need tubes put in their ears. Now, sometimes we can work on kids no matter what they do, and they're still going to need that surgery, but it's certainly worth a try. And I always tell people, always start with least invasive and work your way up. A lot of people like to start at the top. Let's just do surgery. Well, once you do surgery, what if this would have worked? You won't ever know that. And it could have saved you an invasive surgery where there could be complications, there could be problems, and it's exceptionally expensive, and it's invasive. Why would you cut into a human body when you can do things naturally, whether it be chiropractic, acupuncture, homeopathic stuff, nutrition? There's a lot of things people can do first. And unfortunately, I think, let me just say unfortunately, people of older generations, I would say people 60 and up at this point in time, have been taught that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And when it's broke, go to your doctor, and whatever they tell you, they'll follow you in this time. So you go to a doctor and he says, listen, you need surgery. I'm like, he said I need surgery, so I'm going to go get it. But a lot of people who are younger now, 50 and under, will often question things. Well, why do I need surgery? Are there alternatives? Could I go to another physician? Should I get a second opinion? Should I go try X, Y, and Z? And, I always tell people too, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If I go to a surgeon, they're going to recommend surgery because that's what they do. If you go to an acupuncturist, they're going to recommend putting needles in because that's what they do. If you go to a chiropractor, they're going to recommend getting adjusted because that's what they do. And the reality is that all of them are correct.
But does your office do acupuncture right there?
Yes, we have a fabulous acupuncturist who works with us, Dr. Yonat. She's excellent. She's been practicing over 30 years. She's fantastic. And there's a time and a place for it. There's a time and a place for everything, and all of them are correct. And what I mean by that is that if I go to a surgeon, yes, they can operate and correct that surgically. But the acupuncturist may have been able to do it with needles. The chiropractor might have been able to do it with just getting adjusted. Who was right? They were all right. It's just how you address it. So I'm a fan of going less invasive and then working your way up that totem pole of invasiveness. But some people just want to, I just want to do surgery and get this fixed.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, you can. It's an option in some cases. And unfortunately, especially when it comes to the spine and musculoskeletal issues, when people have surgeries, it's very good for 5 years, maybe 10 years. But then another problem often arises. And I see this like with people who have had knee surgeries. Oh, I had a knee surgery 20 years ago. What do you mean? Well, now I need a knee replacement because it's gotten so arthritic and degenerative. Okay, so the surgery worked temporarily and it was great and it got you through a period of time, but now you need to have the whole thing replaced. Whereas, not to say that a chiropractor would have kept you from getting that point, but surgeries aren't always an end-all be-all answer to everything. They can be, and I'm not against it. In fact, I have to refer patients out for surgery where I think it's necessary. There's times where I've worked on something like, listen, you're not improving. This is a serious issue. And if you don't address it surgically, it's going to further become a problem. Go get surgery. Here's the name of 3 surgeons. Here's people I like. Talk to all of them. See which one you're most comfortable with. There's a time and a place for everything.
I agree. I agree 100%. So with a time and a place for everything, one of the biggest fads or the biggest things that you've seen, you got the pop-up, especially here in Florida, you have the pop-up CBD stores and all of that. I'm not asking you to promote a specific product or anything like that. But CBD as a whole, either the CBD with the tiny bit of THC that you could sell over the counter or just straight up CBD. Thoughts, suggestions?
So I've done a lot of research over the last few years as CBD has become a very popular method for treating various ailments.
I apologize for those people that don't know. CBD is what, Dr. Bogart?
CBD is cannabinoids. They are particulates and matter that are taken from either hemp plant or marijuana plants, which have a physiological effect on the body. THC, which is the psychotropic aspect of marijuana, does not have to be present for CBD to work or for places that sell CBD. So people think CBD, oh my God, I'm going to get high, I'm going to get drug tested. It's not the same thing. However, THC does have health benefits, which I don't sell in my office. I'm not legally allowed to. I recommend that you go to a physician who can prescribe that and you can go buy it.
We're talking straight up CBD that you could sell at your office.
So CBD that could be sold, the ones that we carry in our office are THC free. And what's interesting about that is that, and without getting into specific brands, when someone gets a CBD, and you can buy them in a gas station, it's like, oh, $10 in a gas station. Oh, I found it over here.
The pizza place right next door to your office was selling CBD drinks, I think.
So the reality is that you typically get what you pay for. If you're paying $10 at a gas station, you're probably getting gas station quality CBD. Good quality CBDs are going to be more expensive. It's like a car. You're going to pay for better quality. It is what it is. Same thing with vitamins. Okay. Something that people should look for when they get a CBD is there's broad spectrum and full spectrum. Either one is usually good, but full spectrum is better because that has an encompassing synergistic effect from different cannabinoids. There's CBD, CBCB, CBC, CBG. There's different versions of cannabinoids, and when they're all found together the same way they would be in a plant, they have a synergistic effect rather than just CBD. And so the effects that people have from it, number one, it's anti-inflammatory. Number two, it has an anti-anxiety or a calming effect on the nervous system. So people who have trouble sleeping, people who have anxiety throughout their day, who take CBD or CBD derivatives that have the cannabinoids involved, really experience the effects of what would be considered like a marijuana plant without being high. They're not getting the THC aspect. So they're not getting high. They're not getting like slowed down. Hey man, what's up? They just feel like, wow, I feel pretty cool. I feel pretty chill. It's been proven to help people with seizures, people with psychoactive or brain-related issues, depression, headaches, pains, things of that nature. Now, for everybody, not necessarily, but it's definitely worth a shot. There's really no ill effects. No one in the history of the world has ever overdosed as a result of consuming, smoking, or somehow intaking marijuana, hemp, or CBD in the history. Now, they might have taken it and then gotten in a car accident, but not from the actual product because it's derived from a plant. It's like saying, man, I had way too much broccoli. I almost overdosed. You can't overdose on broccoli. It's a plant. So, do you know what I'm saying? So it's a naturally occurring, growing thing that comes from the earth. It's not
and one of the things that I just want to drive home with what you just said. First of all, don't do it and then drive. That's number one. But number two, what I want to drive in is that there are so many different brands out there and so many different varieties that don't just say, oh, I tried CBD and it didn't work. There are some that I know that that we've talked about for focusing. Get somebody instead of getting on a Ritalin or an Adderall. And again, not going against doctors' orders, but before you try that, maybe you want to try it. It's less invasive. It's less addictive. It's less, whatever it is. I used a hand cream when I had hand surgery that my hand surgeon recommended. It had CBD in it and it took away pain. I showed it to Dr. Bogart. He thought it was a high quality product. I'm still using it today with aches and pains on the hand. So again, Tylenol may not work for you, but then try Bayer or Advil. So CBD brand 1 may not work. Try 2, 3, and 4. And again, I also agree. It's kind of what you get. You get what you pay for. You
Yes.
know.
Yes. And as far as just to reference the thing we said, don't drive a car. On CBD, you should be able to drive a car and operate machinery and do everything. It's if you have THC or you
Correct.
got a prescription and you're
Right.
high, that I would definitely not
Right.
recommend.
Well, you said don't smoke CBD and then go drive. So
Well,
I just wanted to make sure.
You can't smoke CBD. You can't smoke
I
CBD.
got
It's orally ingested.
or
Correct.
gummies or I'm sure there are other delivery methods. And if you have questions about CBD, you should go see Dr. Bogart and his staff and chat with them. All different types of herbal remedies. I know that when my son had plantar fasciitis, I can't pronounce it, but thank you. There were different herb patches that he applied to his foot that allowed him to wear his cleats to continue to participate in lacrosse. Injury on a wrist allowed him to recover faster. So there are certain chemicals and certain different nutrients that will assist your body in the healing process. So with regard to healing and injuries, I know one of the things that you love to do is be very active. I know you work out. I know you do different sporting events. I know you like to do paintball. What is your favorite outside extracurricular physical activity that you enjoy, and why?
That's a good question. It's funny, as I'm getting older, I really just enjoy anything I can do outside. I love being in nature. I love being able to take fresh air, whether it's I play golf and I'm not well, like maybe once or twice a year. But when I'm out there, I'm like, man, this is great. I should do this more often, even though I'm not good at it. I really like being out here. I'm in nature. I'm breathing oxygen. I'm getting sunshine and I'm having a nice time. This is fantastic. I love playing paintball. I've been playing that for over 20 years. I'm on a team with a bunch of guys that, we're all getting old now, but we've been playing for a long time. We have a blast doing that. I like fishing. I like doing martial arts. I like doing firearms training. A lot of the firearms training that I do.
What about the thing that you have to wear the helmet for? That's what I thought you were going to say.
Which thing?
One wheel.
Oh, my one wheel. My God, that's one of my favorite things to do. I absolutely love. I have an awesome wife, but she bought me a one wheel for my anniversary, which is basically this motorized skateboard that goes about 20 miles an hour with one wheel, and it can go off road. It is like snowboarding on the street, because unfortunately we don't live in Colorado or Utah, where I would love to be in the mountains. And talking about outside activities, I absolutely adore snowboarding. It is one of my favorite things to do. If I could snowboard every day, all day long, I don't think I would ever get bored doing it. I just think it's fantastic. You're in touch with nature. You're basically snow surfing. I like surfing. I mean,
and you fall on your butt and you get hurt, and then you are a very fortunate man where you have a wife who's also a chiropractor who can adjust you, and we'll leave it at that. We're not going to get into details with that, but you're very fortunate. Yes. We're cutting it close on time. Okay. One more thing. I know you love being on camera. It's one of the things that you do. Plug that your hobby. I know you have a channel. You got a YouTube channel. You love going in. You love having fun. You don't make money off of it. So tell us a little bit about that channel. I'll give you 30 seconds to plug it, because this is fun for you.
So go to YouTube, look up something called barometric Bogart, like barometric pressure. And for whatever reason, I started doing hurricane weather reports as various characters dressing up in different costumes. I have two daughters. One of them, my little one, absolutely loves doing whether she's even just filming me or they're in it, and they're like, Dad, we got to make a video. There's a story. I'm like, all right. So we'll make a video. Let's think something funny. And we do things from movies and characters and things. And I got to tell you, we're having a blast. I run into people like, hey, you're barometric Bogart. I'm like, how would you know that? I'm like, okay, cool. And it's kind of funny. So if you want to check it out, go to barometric Bogart on YouTube, look it up. There's a bunch of videos on there. I mean, they're stupid, but they're funny. And the kids love doing it. They're laughing half the time as we're making it. Like the camera's shaking because they're laughing as they're doing it. But we have a blast. And in fact, I want to get back to doing that more, because I enjoy not only physically helping people, but I know that by making them laugh, there is a saying, laughter is the best medicine. And I will tell you, there's some very good truth to that on a physiological level, as well as on an emotional level. I mean, people like to laugh. Laughing is a natural human response. And when you laugh and when you're having fun and you're in that zone, you're releasing different endorphins and different chemicals and endocrine, hormones and neurotropic, things in your brain are being released. And so when you have that, you feel better. Your body can actually heal better than when you're in this fight or flight state where you're stressed out and worried all the time. You're like, that's great, that's funny, and I forgot about my problems for a little while, and I feel better, and my body's feeling and functioning better. So it's another way for me to express health.
So if you want to feel better and you want a good laugh and you want all of the above and you want somebody to trust that's going to help you feel better, because that in the end is the goal, I got 2 words to say: Dr. Bogart. Plain and simple. Go see him. I can endorse him. I see him myself. My wife sees him. My 15 and 12-year-olds have been seeing him for multiple years. And this is a man I trust, and I am in good hands when I get to see Dr. Bogart. Dr. Bogart, thank you so much. You're going to be back in a handful of weeks as Joseph Bogart, not Dr. Bogart, where we will talk about gun safety and some of the misconceptions and fears and how to do it. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Go check him out, ladies and gentlemen, at Parkland Health and Wellness. No, Parkside. Man, I gotta.
But we're in Parkland, so
it's in Parkland. It's Parkside Health and Wellness. Check them out. 954-340-7545. And just Google Dr. Bogart and Barometric Bogart as well. Thank you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Jason. It's a pleasure. Thank you for the
My pleasure.
Thanks, buddy.